Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So I'm gonna be doing a different video today. I'm gonna be doing another POV, me behind the camera right here, and I'm gonna be showing you my new little toy. It's not actually much of a toy, but this grinder is actually pretty undercover in terms of it's new to the market, it's fairly unknown, and I'll be honest with you, it is a product from China, and it's actually a pretty big gamble, but I think it's a higher risk, high reward grinder that I've been trying, and from my perspective, this is definitely going to out-trump the DF64 and the DF64P. From my understanding, that's actually pretty recent, and hopefully, I don't know if this is going to build up any momentum at all, but this is actually called the JT64P because it has the same 64mm burrs, and as you can see here, it actually does initially come with the Idemil burrs that come with it standard, and you can upgrade this to SSP multi-burrs 64, which is what I have installed in mine currently. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys have seen this one or not roaming around the internet, and there's a few videos, not a lot of them out there right now, but all of them are on the V1, and I'm probably the only person that's probably going to be talking about the V2 right now. And I can give you those differences right now, and this is what I'm pretty much talking about, is just the differences from my understanding of the V1 to V2. Okay, and so the first thing that I'm going to be talking about, again, that's a pretty big thing, is people talking about the stalling issue because of the power supply. And so this one is the new power supply that comes with it, and I can show you guys here what it looks like. It is a fairly chunky boy. The V1 was chunky in and of itself, and it actually got even chunkier. My plans though for this, and I didn't really care too much for it being whatever the size it was, because for me, I'm going to end up putting my grinder on the other side of my bar on this side, and this is going to go behind my machine, so you won't even see it regardless of how big or how small it was. But it is, I can tell you right here, based off of the input and the output, just in case you were wondering. So it is input for 100 to 240 volts with 50 to 60 hertz, and coming out is about 192 watts. So it is a little bit more powerful. And again, this is a answer to the complaint of the fact that this was a little bit more underpowered than the V1 because of the stalling issue. Now, the other difference that I noticed off of the bat is actually with this attachment ring right here, is that right here, this is meant to be for zero, so you can play around with this a little bit. But to actually find your zero with the second ring, but the ring you actually want to hold is this top ring. So a few differences between the V1 is that the top ring is a little bit more pronounced to make those grind adjustments. It's also, instead of 0.06, it's 0.05, and I don't know if you can actually see, but now the numbers are actually in proper order, where it was going backwards, where it would start from 0 and it'd be around the 240s. Now it's actually going where the finer numbers are smaller and the coarser numbers are larger. So when you want to go coarser, you want to go this way, where it's going to go up usually around the 80 range is what I found for filter, and usually from around the 10-ish range is what I notice is around good for espresso with this grinder. Another difference that I've noticed with this is also the chute. The chute was a little bit shorter before and previously from V1. Now it's a little bit longer, and the bottom chute, they're still magnetic, by the way, and you lost the rocker, but this I actually don't like in comparison to the V1, where the V1 looks like it's wider, but it's actually facing you more, as opposed to V2. It's narrower, which I do like, but unfortunately, at the cost of it being narrower, it's also more steep going down, which I don't love. But again, these are magnetic, and it's supposed to be for zero retention purposes. And again, you can see here the SSPs are inside at the moment. And talking about the SSPs, another caveat with this grinder is that actually is a pretty big problem. If you're willing to actually invest into this, is that they initially came with these springs that were underneath these screws that were used to actually align the burrs. The problem is that I didn't actually have a difficulty aligning the top burr. I actually had difficulty aligning the bottom burr on the carrier. That one, they were both fairly out of alignment. The bottom one was extremely out of alignment, and I thought that this was actually a really clunky system. I ended up taking it out and making it like the V1 variant where the springs were there. I just took them out altogether and I just shimmed them with some foil, and that ended up resolving it. So that I ended up pretty much reverting back to V1. Now, the big reason I ended up getting this grinder, and I would have not gotten it otherwise, was the fact that now you have this guy. It's a switch, an on and off switch on the side. Okay. But on the other side, where it was previous, where you would have to turn the RPM gauge, is for the on and the off. But now what you have, believe it or not, is a designated RPM dial. So now this can stay stagnant. And if you can see here, there's actually numbers. So from 300, 700, 1000, and 1400 are on the grinder itself. That's great because of the fact that now you know whether that's accurate or not. It's still up for debate. I'm not quite sure, and quite frankly, even how to test that at the moment. If you guys have any suggestions for me, that would be great. I'm really curious to find out about that myself. But as you can see here, I can show you how this sounds. So it's really quiet grinder, okay? And so you turn it on like this. Again, I had it usually around the 700 range is where I like it. I've been doing it for espresso and they've been tasting awesome. And just to show you what that sounds like when it starts, super quiet. And again, if you want to adjust the RPM range, just want to come here, I'll be a little quiet so that you guys can actually hear how it sounds. So the quieter and then louder. And that is what it sounds like so far. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a demonstration purpose of this grinder, I'm going to actually feed some beans. I'm not going to actually make espresso with it. This is more of a first initial impressions and my just initial overall thoughts of V2, just because no one's really made a video, and I think that this grinder has the potential to be the DF64 killer. Everyone's talking about that. Unfortunately, again, I'm not really sure how the warranties or the overhaul longevity of this, because from my perspective, this potentially, I'm not going to say it even comes close to it, but with the Lagome P64, it has all of the bells and whistles that the Lagome P64 has. I'm going to call this the poor man's Lagome P64. And just to kind of show you guys right here what it will look like when you grind beans. Okay, so let's see if we can just put some in here just for demonstration purposes again, just to show you what it's like. So these are actually light roasted beans, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what you're getting yourselves into, because again, the potential stalling issues. So I'm going to leave this around the 700 mark right here, and I'm going to put them in directly into the feeder. So just to kind of show you worst case scenario. And again, I can show you even like these right here, a little bit more like light, medium roast beans. And I'm going to put those in there just to show you what it is like grinding with this machine. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put the cap back on and we're going to turn on the machine, and we can show you right here how it's like and how quiet it is too. That's one thing I've noticed off the bat with this grinder, is how quiet it is. And you can also see here too is you can have retained the knocker, but it's not as far as the other one was. And again, you have to keep your cup really close. So I'm going to turn it on. And again, you can use the knocker. And again, the bellows. It's really slow, but as you can hear, there's no stalling. And you can just, again, just use this knocker. And again, there's your beans. And I heard no stalling. And this is around 700, what is at least stated as 700 RPM on the machine. And if again, like your last minute purge, just with the bellows, as you can see, there is some definite remnants in the machine. And again, just using the knocker a couple of times usually gets it out. And whenever you're done, you just turn off the machine. And just to kind of show you, yeah, see right there. And the best part is you can just come in here and just boom, get it out yourself. And I even added a little bit of tape because it does stick a little bit. And again, you can grab a brush. I'm a little bit lazy right now, so I'm just using my finger. But again, you can totally use whatever you want to get every last gram out. And it's been fairly consistent with my measurements. And as you can see here, that is what the coffee from this machine looks like when you grind it. And those SSPs, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, compared to the Chrono, that machine has no comparison to this one. I thought that was a great machine. It did exactly what it needed to do for an entry-level machine, but I think this is really where it's at right now in terms of competing, because I did look at getting the DF64. I just didn't really love the fact that you couldn't have RPM control, and how high it was for the RPM range was you're gonna be getting a lot of fines. And again, you're getting those multi-purpose SSPs at a really competitive price. And again, I don't think you can even compete with this price, where I got this from AliExpress. I know it's not the best website to get something from, but I got this for $660, and I just had to gamble on it, to be honest with you. And so far so good. I've had this machine for about a week now, and I've been loving it. It's stalled on me 0 times. And again, just to show you what kind of expectations you can have with it. And again, you don't even have to get it. You can get it with the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, the Itamil burr set that comes with it standard. Again, this also comes on the DF64, and you can get the multi-purpose burrs with it. And hopefully this concludes the video overall, but I just wanted to show you guys my initial impressions of this. And if you guys want to see more on this grinder, feel free to let me know, or if I missed talking about something, or if you guys have any more questions regarding this grinder, I'd be happy to make a follow-up video or answer anything in the comments. And hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and see you in the next one.